Hello and welcome. Tonight, 24 hours after the alleged invasion of the Labour House in Abuja by security operatives, Labour leaders go into hiding, demand investigation into the attack. In a quick response, the Department of State Services, DSS, denies raiding Nigeria Labour Congress building in Abuja. And optimism in the air as Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria assures public that the Port Harcourt Refinery will indeed resume production this month, giving affirmation to the NNPCL's August deadline.
And on business news, report from the central bank shows forex inflows into the country surged 55% to $25.4 billion in the first half of 2024.
On sports, Botswana's Letsil Tebogo breaks the African 200 meters record to become the continent's first winner over the half lap with 19.46 seconds.
From Abuja, the nation's capital, ahead of the next cycle of elections in Nigeria, the Inter-Party Advisory Council advocates institutional reforms to strengthen democracy in the country.
And in international news from London, the Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus has declared there is a lot of work to be done in Bangladesh as he arrives in the country to take over as interim leader.
The Nigeria Labour Congress have asked for the immediate withdrawal of security operatives from the Labour House in Abuja. Now, according to a statement signed by the NLC head, Media and Public Relations, Comrade Benson Upa, at about 8:30 p.m. on Wednesday, long after the close of work, a troop of heavily armed security operatives invaded the Labour House in Central Business District Abuja, which serves as the national headquarters and secretariat of the NLC. The Nigeria Labour Congress condemns in its entirety this situation, as the armed security operatives showed no legal document permitting them to invade the premises.
It's Thursday morning, and this is the headquarters of the Nigerian Labour Congress in the Central Business District in Abuja. It's been hours since the NLC leadership raised the alarm of police personnel and operatives of the Department of State Service invading their offices on Wednesday night. Part of a statement by the NLC says, I quote, "This evening at about 8:30 p.m., long after the close of work, a troop of heavily armed security operatives invaded the Labour House, Central Business District, Abuja, which serves as the national headquarters and secretariat of the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC. The security operatives, some from the Nigerian Police Force, some wearing black T-shirts, presumably from the Department of State Services, DSS, and others on outright mufti, swooped on the 10th floor of the NLC and arrested the security operative on duty, and then commandeered him to the 2nd floor, where he was asked to produce the keys to the offices. They broke into the floor and ransacked the bookshop on the 2nd floor, carting away hundreds of books and other publications. The invading troop claimed that they were looking for seditious materials used for the hashtag End Bad Governors protests." End of quote. While the police has not made any comment on the allegation, the Department of State Services has denied participating in any of such operations. A message from the spokesperson of DSS to our security correspondent reads thus: "Good morning, dear friends. Please kindly note that the service, DSS, did not carry out any operation at the NLC office in Abuja." However, an eyewitness who declined to speak on camera says men in police uniforms and some in plain clothes indeed invaded and ransacked the building on Wednesday night. When our crew got to the 2nd floor of the building where the bookshop is located, we see empty bookshelves as well as furniture in disarray. On the 10th floor of the building, where the office of the NLC president and other top officials are located, the floor is completely deserted and the doors locked. Mr. Benson Upa, the head of media and public relations at the NLC, informed our crew off camera that the Labour leaders have gone into hiding following the invasion.
In the meantime, Amnesty International has condemned what it calls the brazen invasion of the headquarters of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, by a contingent of armed security personnel. A statement by the Director of Amnesty International Nigeria, Issa Sanusi, The chilling raid last night appears to be part of a sinister and calculated attack designed to intimidate the labor union, adding that the raid by the security personnel undermines workers' right to organize, bargain collectively, and take industrial action. According to Sanusi, quote, trade unions cannot be targeted for their participating activities under international human rights law, as Nigeria has an obligation not only to respect the rights of trade unions, but also to protect these rights from abuse, end quote. He adds that during the lawless raid, the armed security personnel ransacked books at the bookshop, carrying all the materials into their van, claiming that the materials were used to incite and organize the recent protests. The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Mr. Abubakar Bagudu, says the fight to end poverty in Nigeria requires the intentional collaboration and engagement of citizens and all stakeholders. Mr. Bagudu made the remark at the official unveiling of the ActionAid Country Strategy Paper 2024 to 2034 with the theme Citizens' Action to End Poverty and Injustice. In Abuja, our correspondent Victoria Longjohn reports.
The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Mr. Atiku Bagudu, is amongst guests present at the unveiling of the ActionAid Nigeria Country Strategy Paper. The strategy paper in its 5th edition is a futuristic plan by ActionAid to engage citizens in a bid to eliminate poverty and social injustice.
The strategy incorporates our lessons of over 2 decades of development work in Nigeria, but over 70 probably years of working globally as part of the Federation of ActionAid International. It marks a pivotal moment of ActionAid as we focus on institutionalizing intentional partnerships. ActionAid's new country strategy paper is a bold blueprint for organizing citizens and driving transformative change.
The presentation of the strategy is holding in the face of Nigeria's economic challenges, and the government explains the effort to address the situation.
Poverty, regrettably, is still a major feature of our society. So, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu conclude that we are not where we want to be. And this came about not as a result of any one person's effort, but cumulative decades of underinvestment. And we have to do something about it. And in doing something about it, everyone matters.
The keynote speaker highlights the importance of social movement and the need for the mobilization of stakeholders and communities as a catalyst for change to end poverty.
What we need is a movement. We have always argued that change will happen in any society when the conditions are right. Social movements contribute to poverty eradication and social justice. Poverty eradication efforts are crucial for achieving social justice, as poverty is both a cause and consequence of social inequities. Social movements advocate for policies that address the root causes of poverty and injustice.
ActionAid is hoping that the document will influence citizen engagement to end the scourge of poverty and social injustice. From Abuja, Victoria Longjohn for Channels Television News.
The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, today paid a courtesy visit to the corporate headquarters of Channels Media Group in Lagos. Leading a delegation which included the presidential spokespersons, Mr. Idris, during a sit-down with the chairman of Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, highlighted the importance of proper news reporting and right information management system as he acknowledged Channels Television's endeavors in the media space. Our correspondent, Olumide Macaulay, reports.
The corporate headquarters of Channels Television is the venue, as the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, is welcomed by the chairman of Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo. The team, which also included members of the President's media team, then proceeds to the conference room for a meeting with senior staff management of Channels Television. The minister states the purpose of the visit.
The media has to be free. The media has to operate in an environment that does not will limit their potential. But we also know that the freedom that the media enjoys will also have to come with some responsibility. And issues of fake news, disinformation or misinformation will always be there. And it's not just a Nigerian problem, it's a world problem. But I know that nobody will come to clean that more than the media itself. So there must be a self-regulating system in the media. Even as you do this task of holding government to account, which is your constitutional role that you are playing, it is also important that we know that our country comes first.
The chairman of Channels Media Group, in his response, re-emphasizes the guiding principles of Channels Television in its core area of news production.
Channels is an organization that is based on professionalism. What we do here is to make sure that we produce programs that are well put together and that will challenge the curiosity of our viewers and make sure that they use the information that we provide to impact on their lives. And one of the things that we don't shy away from doing, and we always stress, is the fact that we must represent all sides to an issue. We will continue to report government and government activities, but we also have the duty to let government know if there are areas where they have to do more, and if there are areas where they are failing. And we try to bring people from both sides of the divide.
After the meeting, in a separate interview, the minister explains the federal government's position on the events of the last few days.
The president didn't take office so that Nigerians will suffer. It is the democratic right of every citizen to have freedom of expression, freedom of speech, and freedom to assemble. The presidency of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not in any way, form or shape, want to trample on that. But our recent history has shown that once you assemble in the name of protest, the likelihood is that some miscreants could seize the opportunity to unleash violence. What he tried to do is to reset this country in a way, go back to the basic foundation, and the fuel subsidy issue was part of it. Recall that we were having an import of about 2 billion liters of PMS a day in this country. Now, by 29th May, when fuel subsidy left, we now discovered that our consumption came down by about 50%. So the question we're asking is, where was this 50% or roughly about 1 billion liters of oil going? When Nigeria was importing fuel using hard-earned foreign exchange, importing fuel to service our people, but this PMS or petrol was finding its way across the borders to as far as Central African Republic. We know that there's also a new initiative of government, the Graduate Support Program, that seeks to put graduates back into real life. What do I mean by that? Before they find gainful employment, it is possible that their parents are unable to fend for them. And so they will have some allowance to keep themselves together, and this will continue until such a time when they find gainful employment.
As photo mementos are taken for posterity and they take their leave, it's expected that the visit will create better synergy between the government's media team and the media for a better understanding of the government's policies and the citizens' perception of these policies. Olumide Macaulay, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, assures public that the Port Harcourt Refinery will indeed resume production this month, giving affirmation to the NNPCL's August deadline. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. 24 hours after the alleged invasion of the Labour House in Abuja by security operatives, Labour leaders go into hiding, demand investigation into the attack. In a quick response, the Department of State Services, DSS, denies raiding the Nigeria Labour Congress building in Abuja. Optimism in the air as Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria assures public that the Port Harcourt Refinery will indeed resume production this month, giving affirmation to the NNPCL's August deadline. And Nobel laureate Mohammed Yunus has declared there is a lot of work to be done in Bangladesh as he arrived in the country to take over as interim leader. A year from now, 2 million of Nigeria's youth who are unemployed will be gainfully engaged. That promise is from the Minister of Youth Development, Dr. Jamila Bio Ibrahim, who said efforts are in place to ease the pains that Nigerians are going through. According to the minister, the federal government is responding to the demands that were presented during the nationwide protests. She was a guest on our program, The Morning Brief.
My evaluation and assessment of what has played out in the last couple of days, I've said 7 days, has been the fact that people have come out and they have expressed their concerns about the economic hardships that the reforms we're implementing is bringing upon Nigerians. And I also would like to first commend the states who have come out and demonstrated their concerns through protests peacefully. It's a call for action and, of course, for government to accelerate our programs, implementation of our programs and initiatives to cushion the impacts of the reforms, like we have already been doing. We are deeply touched and we identify and with the current circumstances of Nigerians, and we're working extremely hard to ensure that we improve the lives and, of course, the economy as well to recover from these shocks that we have experienced in the last couple of months. The bigger picture is that in the first 1 year, our target is to empower directly 500,000 young people. Well, now, that was when we started the planning. So in 6 months' time, we will be empowering 500,000 young people. And already we have 300,000 directly. And then as a multiplier effect, we know that we will be creating indirect jobs as well. So we will be creating over 2 million indirect jobs in the first 6 months. And I would like to assure you of that. As long as we have the commitment of all the stakeholders, we will be sure to accelerate action in all our initiatives and programs. And well, now is the time to actually engage even more. Because as a young person, I've always been a bit critical of our past leaders and of course disappointed because we go to the polls, we vote for leaders, but at the end of the day, they make commitments because they're under pressure by the people to speak. As politicians, they make commitments and they're not able to fulfill. So I thought that now being at the driver's seat, it was time to do things differently to ensure that I do not create a demand that I do not have, that we as a government do not create a demand that we don't have a supply for. And that's why it took us a while before we started communicating our plans and initiatives, because we had done an analysis and we have a plan, an implementation plan that is robust. And of course, with the monitoring, evaluation and feedback as well. This is also what you spoke about, saying that the numbers come in large magnitude, and then we do not see the impact on the ground. But I can assure you that we're committed to doing things differently. The entire administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is committed to doing things differently. And that's why it has taken us this long to ensure that we have the right plans in place.
The Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, is confident that the Port Harcourt Refinery will meet its August deadline with full production. The National Operations Controller of IPMAN, Mr. Zarma Mustafa, stated this when he appeared on Channels Television's morning show, Sunrise Daily. Mr. Mustafa assured the public that all necessary measures are being taken to ensure the refinery's timely completion.
I believe it's going to be a catastrophe if it didn't come off in August, because my NNPC management have assured Port Harcourt Refinery is going to start about more than three or four times to the extent that somewhere in December they have even started flaring burning gas.
Was that flue gas? I thought they've gone through this several times.
Well, I don't know how they
that was LPG, not flue gas.
It's going to be catastrophic to the current management of NNPC if they could not live up to their promise this time around.
An evening accident that occurred on Kara Bridge along the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway has left significant level of destruction and caused traffic gridlock. According to eyewitness accounts, the incident occurred when a truck conveying bagged sugar lost control and rammed into the bridge railings, as well as mangling several vehicles alongside it. As of the time of this report, it is unclear the number of victims and casualties involved in the accident, just as authorities of the Ogun State government are yet to comment over the incident. A fire truck was at the scene while many passers-by and other motorists milled around and gazed at the scene. The traffic is set to be slow, while officials of government are expected on the scene to remove the vehicle wrecks. Earlier in the day, in the Ikeja axis of Lagos State, a gas explosion rocked the mobile fuel station on Awolowo Road while the truck was discharging LPG. Lagos government officials put the number of burnt vehicles at 8. 7 persons suffered various degree of burns, while 1 person came down with an over 70% burn and has been referred to the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital, LASUTH. The fire has since been put out, while the station has been cordoned off for further investigation. So let's head to the nation's capital, and Gloria Umezoke stand by to give us the very latest from our Abuja studios. Over to you, Gloria.
Thank you, Ayo. The Inter-Party Advisory Council is advocating the need for institutional reforms in order to protect democracy in Nigeria. Speaking at a conference in Abuja, the national chairman of IPAC, Mr. Yusuf Dantali, and the national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Mr. Abdullahi Ganduje, call for reforms in the judiciary and the electoral umpire.
This conference is the instance of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, to discuss the role of the judiciary in the sustainability of democracy in Nigeria. Present here are leaders of political parties, senior legal practitioners, and members of the civil society organization. The IPAC chairman sets the tone for the conversations, citing some developments in the country's judicial system that need urgent attention.
There seems to be the anarchy and rebellion in the temple of justice, conflicting court orders and judgment by cause of coordinated jurisdiction. It calls for urgent judicial reform to save the judiciary and restore its integrity and honor as a temple of justice and the last hope of all aggrieved people.
The keynote speaker is a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Jibrin Okutekpa. He underscores the importance of the independence of the judiciary for democracy to survive.
Nigerian politicians are far too removed from the people. And that is the reason the judiciary was given responsibility to hold you accountable. But unfortunately, it appears that if you can't beat them, you must join them. Our electoral jurisprudence needs to be looked into, and I must commend Parliament because they done a lot.
However, other participants are advocating the urgent need for individual and institutional reforms in order to protect Nigeria's democracy.
Almost all our institutions of democracy are weak, and we continue in vicious circles. Even if the judiciary is reformed, if the INEC is not reformed, even the common man has to be reformed because he too is not an honest man. We talk about the judiciary as the last hope of the common man. Why is the political parties not the last hope of the common man? Why is INEC not the last hope of the common man? We want a perfect judiciary in a perfect system and in a perfect country.
The general consensus here is that it is impossible for democracy to thrive when institutions are weak. Hence the call for an urgent need to strengthen institutions such as the electoral body and the judiciary.
The Niger State Police Command has paraded 23 suspected hoodlums who allegedly took advantage of recent protests to vandalize Tafa local government secretariat. Niger State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Shawalu Danmaman, while presenting the suspects at the command headquarters in Minna, announced that they would be charged to court amidst the successful recovery of some of the looted local government secretariat belongings. When the news at 10 returns, reports from the central bank shows forex inflows into the country surged 55% to $25.4 billion in the first half of 2024. But that's in business news. We'll join us again. Welcome back as you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. The People's Democratic Party has announced its withdrawal from the forthcoming Kebbi State Local Government Council elections, scheduled for August the 31st this year. The decision was made following concerns over the credibility of the electoral process. Addressing a press conference in Berlin, Kebbi, the state capital, the chairman of the state chapter of the party, Mr. Bello Suru, disclosed the reason for their withdrawal, urging party members to remain calm and focused.
The released electoral guideline specified that the administrative charges can be paid up to August 31st, but abruptly shifted backward to August 7, 2024. This amount to changing the rules in the middle of the game and clear attempt to discourage opposition parties from participating in the election. It is against this background that the PDP wishes to inform its teeming number of supporters statewide that our participation in the election will only signify acceptance of an illegality, fraudulent system and stage-managed election as done in the previous exercise conducted in 2022 under the same leadership. At this junction, I wish to appeal to all PDP members across the 21 local government area of the state to remain calm, focused, as we continue to reflect on the present and future prospect of our great party at local, state, and national level.
The Anambra State Governor Chukwuma Soludo has flagged off the second phase of the One Youth, Two Skills Solution program at the International Convention Center, OCA. The program will have 8,620 trainees exposed to over 30 skills, as well as go through 5 modules of specialized training and ultimately receive empowerment from the state government. The governor also encouraged the youths of the state to key into the Farm to Feed campaign, which will be part of the Phase 2 training.
In the Anambra have never had it this good.
The excitement is high at the International Convention Center, OCA, as over 8,000 young trainees welcome Governor Chukwuma Soludo, who makes his way to the auditorium to flag off the Phase 2 of the One Youth, Two Skills Solution. On behalf of the youths, the Commissioner for Youth Development appreciates the governor for the transformational gesture, especially in skills acquisition and ICT innovations.
It's a great day indeed, and I want to begin by thanking Mr. Governor, the Grand Commander General of Allied Youth Forces, the youth-friendly governor, the man that made it possible for us to gather here to celebrate at this time the empowerment of 8,620 youths of the state in the various skills of their choice.
Governor Chukwuma Soludo says the agenda of fighting poverty, unemployment and economic hardship is what the program is all about, as over 83,000 applications were received, but about 8,000 have been selected to be tutored by master trainers in the 7th phase.
Today,
officially flag off the second batch. I understand that about over 83,000 applications were processed, and about a little over 8,000 of you have been selected.
He notes that Anambra State is at the forefront of excellence due to government interventions in various sectors that prioritize human capital development.
The foundation for our future, the bridge to the future, remains our children, our youths. And that is why we prioritize human capital development in building this future that we all dream about. That is the bridge to the future. And that is why we are here, learning from our past and going into the future.
The One Youth, Two Skills is a unique program tailored to arm Anambra youths with skills that will make them independent and self-sufficient. The 5 training models include apprenticeship, entrepreneurial training, cooperative support, business financing, and mentorship schemes.
In Enugu State, Governor Peter Mba has flagged off the distribution of inputs and grants worth over 4.6 billion naira to farmers, communities and startups in the state. Speaking at the flag-off ceremony at the Michael Okpara Square, Enugu, Governor Mba said the initiative will nurture small-scale entrepreneurs for sustainable growth through the provision of the key enablers, since they remain the lifeblood of the state's economic development.
This event is beyond symbolism. This is essentially going to take us a notch closer to our dream to eliminate hunger in Enugu State. And we are, as you already know, we're already intervening in other social services. The smart school, the primary health care centers going on across all the world are all designed to keep poverty goodbye in Enugu State.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. For more on the news at 10, it's back to Ayo in Lagos.
Many thanks, Gloria. In a significant move to revolutionize the payment landscape, Network International, a Dubai-based financial services firm, has launched its state-of-the-art cloud-based integrated payment solution platform known as Network One in Nigeria. At the milestone event held in Lagos, the FTSE company announced that the technology infrastructure, which offers a comprehensive suite of merchant products and solutions, will serve banks, mobile network operators, and fintechs in Nigeria.
Network International, a trusted payment services company, has underscored its commitment to local and regional markets by bringing its innovative award-winning digital payment platform, Network One, on soil in Nigeria.
Our solution works across your entire enterprise landscape, be it cards, be it loans, be it accounts, be it mobile money.
A crucial aspect of Network International's sustained investment in Nigeria is nurturing an empowered local workforce, and this is affirmed by the company's Group Chief Executive Officer.
This platform has been built with an investment of over $250 million, and we're just launching it today in Nigeria. This is our cutting-edge, globally acclaimed, award-winning platform, and we certainly hope that Nigerian businesses will adopt this technology to help their consumers, to make their consumers more digitally savvy, more digitally active, and more digitally empowered.
On her part, Network International's Regional Managing Director for West and Central Africa explains that the company is strategically positioned to power digital payment services on the continent.
And Network One will enhance payment in Nigeria, given the fact that it's a platform, like I said before, that is easily scalable. It also has capacity to get as many transactions as possible. It's a secured platform. It has the best-in-class, best quality security ever. And then it also comes with a lot of things. It's driven by loyalty, driven by AI. So that is part of what Network One is going to be doing in partnership with our clients.
With presence in 50 countries across the Middle East and Africa and 20 years of operation in Nigeria, Network International is set to position itself as not only as a leader in the digital payment, but also contributes to the country's growing digital economy.
Business News is up next with Will Ibo. Will.
Thank you, Ayotunde, and welcome to Business News. Now, foreign exchange inflows into Nigeria have surged, reaching $25.4 billion between January and June, a 55% increase compared to the same period last year, according to the central bank. Now, this rise is due largely to increased capital importation, which hit $6 billion in June 2024, and record inflows from diaspora remittances. The CBN says its policies are boosting market confidence as the bank continues to address foreign exchange demands, including $876 million auctioned to 26 banks on Tuesday. Now, a long-term solution to the demands of the protesters would be to engage the youth meaningfully, especially in the area of food production. A former commissioner of land in Imo State, Uche Nwosu, believes that this can be implemented when the right individuals are given the right office and tools to work with. Mr. Nwosu was a guest on Business Morning earlier today.
There is need to rejig the youth ministries in the federal and in the states. I think what vital states should do is, one, they should immediately convey a town hall meetings of youth from one local government to other. With that, they can be able to identify the problems of youth according to local government. The problem of a youth from one local government is not the same problem of a youth from another local government. Most of the time, we have the briefcase politicians being given appointments. You see somebody who is a commissioner for agri, he's not even a farmer. Sometimes you see people who handle the Minister of Agri, they have not even gone to farm. They don't even know what a hoe is called. They don't even know what a tractor is called. So when you give them an office, they don't realize that when you have tractors and hoes and knives and these things meant for farming, they don't realize that you are taking it back to the farmers. They think it's something that is kept there. So it has to come with somebody who has their heart for these farmers. You might be surprised that sometimes the federal government might give farm instrument to some ministry, and you see those instruments there for 2 years, 3 years, and has not been distributed. What does that tell you? That tells you that they are not even concerned, because the head, when the head is wrong, the entire body will go wrong.
Now, the federal government says it has lifted the suspension on Arik Air Airlines operations after resolving a dispute between Arik Air and Atlas Petroleum. This was made known by the spokesperson for the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, Michael Achimogu, who confirmed that Arik Air can resume flights immediately. This decision comes just over a week after the airline was grounded due to a court order over a $2.5 million debt. The Minister of Aviation and the NCAA emphasized that their priority remains ensuring safe and secure air travel for all passengers. Now let's check out the domestic equities market now. MTN Nigeria is still in the limelight as its gains today lifted the all-share index over 1%. Ladi Williams has the details.
Hello and welcome to the Thursday market close. After kicking off the week in red, the local bourse sustained yesterday's gains with a bigger move up, and we see the Fugas contributing to that gain, 3.47%. FBNH, UBA also up 1.91%. We know the banks right now are in the focus of most investors, with the tier 1 banks also continuing to fund today with the gains we saw yesterday. Now let's take a look at the market move from the lowest price hit in 3 years. That was Monday. MTN Nigeria makes one of the biggest single-day gains in a while. I think the last time this happened was in March could be related to MTN Nigeria renegotiating tower lease agreements with IHS and ATC, cutting the dollar component. So we see the telecom giants reducing FX exposure, and that could be good, for business. So, with the action we're seeing in the telcos, they might be getting investor attention. We'll see, if that continues. That's the stock market report. It's the bulls again.
Thank you, Laddie. Let's hope the bull can end the final trading day tomorrow. Let's also check out the closing numbers for other major equities around the world.
Thank you, Will. Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus has been sworn in as Bangladesh's interim leader along with more than a dozen members of his new cabinet at the presidential palace in Dhaka. He vowed to perform his duties sincerely and urged the youth to help rebuild the country. Here's Sami Puzi with more on this and other international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus has declared there is a lot of work to be done in Bangladesh as he arrived in the country to take over as interim leader. People are excited, the 84-year-old said, moments after flying into the capital Dhaka from France on Thursday. His plane touched down just days after Sheikh Hasina, the woman who ruled Bangladesh with an iron fist for 15 years, fled across the border to India. She resigned after weeks of student-led protests which left hundreds dead, escalating and culminating in calls for her to stand down. The decision to name Professor Yunus as chief advisor of the interim government followed a meeting between President Mohammad Shahabuddin, military leaders and student leaders. A state of emergency has been declared in the Kursk region of Russia as a rare cross-border attack by Ukrainian troops continued. The acting regional governor, Alexei Smirnov, said the move was necessary to eliminate the consequences of enemy forces coming into the region. Russian officials said at least 5 civilians had been killed and 31 wounded, 6 of them children, since the start of the incursion. Ukraine has not officially commented, and the depth of the incursion remains unclear. Police in Barcelona are hunting the separatist former leader of Catalonia, Carlos Puigdemont, who made a dramatic return to Spain after a 7-year exile, despite facing an outstanding arrest warrant. Earlier, the Catalan separatist leader addressed supporters in Barcelona after 7 years of exile and despite the pending warrant for his arrest. For much of the past several years, he has lived in Brussels after police indicted him on charges linked to a failed bid for independence in 2017. Many were expecting him to turn up inside the Parliament building in time for the investiture ceremony, but he was nowhere to be seen. Instead, there were scuffles outside the Catalan Parliament as the investiture session began without him. The death toll from heavy rains that lashed western Yemen earlier this week has risen to 40, with 5 others still reported missing. That's according to Houthi officials and aid workers. Hudaydah and Hajjah provinces, much of which are under the control of the Iran-aligned Houthi rebel group. More than 500 homes had to be evacuated and many roads were blocked by floodwaters. The UN agency added that aid partners had begun deliveries amid the need for urgent support to thousands of families affected by the deluge. The Met Police chief has praised local communities for helping to stem disorder after further riots failed to take place overnight. Mark Rowley said thousands of anti-racism protesters gathered in cities and towns across England, rallying in response to a week of anti-immigration rioting sparked by misinformation over the deadly stabbing in Southport on the 29th of July. Thousands of extra police officers had been deployed, but the protests were largely peaceful with few serious incidents.
It was a massive policing operation. I'm really pleased with how it went, and we put thousands of officers on the streets, and I think the show of force from the police and frankly the show of unity from communities together defeated the challenges that we've seen.
3 upcoming Taylor Swift concerts in Vienna have been cancelled following a possible security threat. 3 shows, part of Swift's Eras Tour, had been due to take place on Thursday, Friday and Saturday at the Ernst Happel Stadium. On Wednesday, 2 people were arrested on suspicion of planning attacks inspired by the Islamic State group on large events in the Austrian capital. The statement said, due to confirmation by government officials of a planned terrorist attack, we have no choice but to cancel the 3 planned shows for everyone's safety. And a man responsible for one of the most viral clips in Australian history has died at the age of 82. The prison escapee and on-again, off-again petty criminal whose best-known alias was Jack Carlson shot to fame in 2009 after a clip of his dramatic 1991 arrest outside a Chinese restaurant in Brisbane was uploaded to the internet.
Gentlemen, this is Democracy Manifest. What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal?
The seminal moment has inspired thousands of memes, musical remixes and reaction videos. Democracy Manifest is also the name of a purebred Australian racehorse. Carlson's family confirmed he had passed away in hospital following a battle with prostate cancer, surrounded by loved ones. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
And the main news again, 24 hours after the alleged invasion of the Labour House in Abuja by security operatives, Labour leaders of the Nigerian Labour Congress today went into hiding as they demanded an investigation into the attack. That's the news at 10. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde. From all of us here, have a good night and please stay safe.